What's going on, guys? Welcome to Ram Beyond's channel. In this video, we're talking about the Samsung Galaxy Note 8. That's right. Samsung just announced the fact that they are going to be manufacturing that phone this year. And this is where things get interesting. We have the S8 and S8 Plus, which everyone's talking about. But the one issue I had with those phones was the fact that they also had a narrow screen. Now, compared to what the Note 8 could be, and it's just a possibility of what the phone could be, I think there's going to be a lot of improvements from the S8 and S8 Plus. We can start with the processor, so a faster phone. We're also talking about better camera, possibly, because you have a 12 megapixel camera with the S8 and S8 Plus, so there's room for improvement over there. And then we're also talking about the fact that people are complaining about the scanner on the back of those phones, and if you have the Galaxy Note 8, the scanner can be on the front of the phone in the screen. So those are some improvements with the phone. But then we're talking about compared to even the design of the S8 and S8 Plus. With the Note 8, it would make a lot of sense for the screen to be a lot wider than the S8 and S8 Plus, because like I was saying before also, the screens are narrow on those phones. So when I compare these phones and the ideas that Samsung has and the improvements they can make to the S8 and S8 Plus, like I said also, things are going to get interesting, because with the Note 8, we're talking about a phone that is a phablet. And I was talking about that with the S8 and S8 Plus, but the one thing I was not thinking about were the Note phones. And that's because with the Note 7, Samsung had so many issues with that phone that they had to really work to improve upon those issues, even with the S8 and S8 Plus, so there's no issues with the battery. So we could expect to see probably with the Note 8 a much better battery, obviously because Samsung had to learn a lot of lessons from the Note 7. So I would think in this situation for Samsung, we're talking about competing against other companies and essentially almost competing against themselves with the Galaxy S8 and S8 Plus. A lot of people out there are interested in purchasing like the best phone of the year. And I'm saying I think the Note 8 is going to be the best phone of the year because of what Samsung has learned from previous phones they've manufactured. The screen is phenomenal on the S8 and S8 Plus. There's no question about it. I think they even call it an infinity screen because essentially you don't have really a bezel with the phone. It's very slight. So when we're talking about the screen quality from Samsung, they have some of the best screens. And I also have to say, if you hear anything about Apple and them manufacturing the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus, what Apple is trying to do is manufacture their phones by avoiding having to use parts of that phone from Samsung. See, things really get interesting again when we're talking about manufacturing phones. So from what I read, Apple has been delayed with them manufacturing the iPhone for that reason, getting parts for their phone, and that's how it works for Apple. So what I'm also interested in seeing though is how Apple goes about competing with Samsung with the screen technology, because Apple already has the fingerprint scanner on the front of the screen, and there is an opportunity there to remove the physical button. But then we're talking about the screen quality. And if Apple has to use other manufacturers for, say, the screens for the iPhone, we have to see if those other manufacturers can create a screen, such as Samsung. Now, I'm saying at this point in time, when I look at all the manufacturers of these phones, Samsung seems to be the most interesting to me. First of all, the unique design. Then we're also talking about screen technology and also the way they go about manufacturing their phones. At this point in time, we have the S8 and S8 Plus, but then you also have an opportunity to improve those phones with the Note 8. And I think the Note 8 is going to be a home run. It's going to be probably one of the best phones of the year, if not the best phone. Now, this does not mean that it's going to be the most popular by how many people buy the phone. The reason why I say that, of course, is because Apple has a lot of fans. Apple has iPhone fans, Apple fans. They have a lot of people that go crazy for their products, and they should, because Apple creates some great products out there, they're quality, and as some people like to refer to them, they like to say they're premium products. Now, when we talk about Samsung, they create some premium products also. And I think with the way Samsung is talking about this Note 8 and the possibilities of what that phone could be, this could be the phone that you might want to purchase. Now, again, we compare all the phones. If you purchase the S8 and S8 Plus, fantastic, you have an amazing phone. But if you're someone like myself who has not purchased one of these phones yet, and you're just looking to see who has the best phone of the year, you know, I'm laughing about this because there's so much competition out there with all these companies. We're getting some of the best phones that we've seen in a really long time. Even for the fact, again, Samsung has the S8 and S8 Plus, but you also can get the Samsung Galaxy Gear, where you can have a virtual reality experience. And a lot of companies are out there selling the phone with that accessory. So that's a fantastic accessory to have with your phone. But for me in particular, I would like to upgrade my phone because the Nexus 6, no offense to that phone, I've owned it for a while, but it is getting slow. So I would like a better phone than that. And it is a great phablet. So I'm looking for a phablet. I would like to see what the Note 8 is all about. So as far as using the Note 8 and what that phone could be like, I'm going to say it's probably going to be like the S8 and S8 Plus. They're not going to have the stock version of Android on there. because Samsung wants to offer their experience, especially with Bixby, that assistant, where you can use their phone similar to how Google Now and the Google Assistant works. But also, from what I'm reading, a lot of people who have been using the S8 and S8 Plus are saying that you have both options. So you can use the Google Assistant while using Samsung software. The only problem I have with that is that Samsung's TouchWiz and the way it's an overlay on Android is much different than the stock version of Android. So I've gotten so used to the stock version of Android on Nexus 6 that I prefer to use that. So if I'm going to use the Note 8, I'm going to be rooting that phone, and I think that's the best experience for how I would want to use the Note 8. Now, compared to the other phones out there, I would say it is going to be interesting for Google because Google has the Pixel and Pixel XL. But if you look at the Samsung phones, a lot of the other phones out there, even the iPhone 7 and 7 Plus, they're all looking outdated. For some of these manufacturers of these phones, they probably have to manufacture the phones more than once a year if Samsung continues to go about manufacturing their phones this way. Because if you have the S8 and S8 Plus, then other companies are out there and saying, okay, we can compete with that phone. But then with the Samsung Galaxy Note 8, how are you going to compete with all those phones out there when Samsung continues to announce phones? And it really shows that Samsung is trying to do something different than the other companies. Because we have not seen a screen on the Samsung Galaxy S8 and S8 Plus with any other phone out there on the market. And then we're talking about the iPhone 7, 7 Plus, and like I said before, the Pixel and Pixel XL. Those phones really can't compete with the S8 and S8 Plus as far as the hardware and the screen technology. Then we're talking about even the camera, like I was saying before. That is something, again, I would like to see improved with the Note 8. If Samsung can do that, I think a lot of people are going to be fans of that phone. More often than not, you're going to see a lot of people reviewing these phones and they talk about the camera. So I think with Samsung, if you have an incredible phone with the best hardware out there and you can really compete like that, I think a lot of people are going to be interested in that phone. But I would like to know what you guys think about all of this. Post your comments down below. Let me know what you think some of the features that Samsung should add to the Note 8, or even your opinions about the S8, S8 Plus, or any other smartphone out there. And of course, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. I'll see you guys next video. Peace out.